Let's eat.
Welcome back. This is Let's Eat. I'm your host, Cody Swick. Today we have Mike Kubina. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Pimp. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there. I'm happy to have you home in one piece.
Yeah, glad to be back. Still adjusting to all this COVID nonsense.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably an adjustment.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't have to wear masks where I was at, so having to come back and wear masks and kind of learn how to get back into civilization after this COVID pandemic was it was an adjustment period, bro.
Yeah, I believe that. How's everything going at home? Just being at home and having a different schedule and time zone completely.
Yeah, the first probably week back, I was on the East Coast for about a week before I came home, so I had a little bit of an adjustment. But man, coming back, it probably takes about a month until you finally reacquaint yourself with your day-to-day life and your routines of just being home. It took a while for me to get used to people speaking English. Where I was at, like only me and my team were the English speakers, and so I was used to hearing a different language. Like people would ask me questions, and like here when I would jump on the elevator, I'd be going down. They'd ask me how my day was, and I would just freeze. And I was like, I'm on vacation, and they were like, oh, cool. And I was like, yeah, have a good one, and just walk out. And then
naturally hear
like
another
now,
language.
Yeah, and I've been home for probably about 6 weeks, and I'll still mess up. Like I'll go to a Mexican restaurant and I'll try and speak Spanish, and I'll start speaking the other language I learned. And so I was like, it messes with your head a lot. So it's still an adjustment. Like I said, I've been about 6 weeks, and it's still kind of foreign in some aspects, but other than that, back in the swing of things.
With your experiences with work and your home life and things like that, I know that you have a lot to talk about and a lot of knowledge on what it takes to succeed in the fitness world. So, do you want to give us a little background on what got you into fitness and the things that you've done along that journey to gain some knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. To start off, I'm not a certified personal trainer. I'm not one of the guys you see at your gym. I'm not a certified dietitian. I do know a lot of the bro science and the bro lifting techniques, but no, it's just been years in the gym. I've probably been lifting in the gym since I was 18. So actually probably 17. So I have about 14 years experience. When I was 21, I joined the military. And so that kind of shifted the way I worked out in the sense that when I was younger, it was all about bro lifting, jack and steel and getting big. And then once I joined, it was about functional fitness. Like I've been in the military for about 10 years. I'm still in, just got back from deployment. Recently deployed with special operations for a year. And even on that deployment, it will change your knowledge base of lifting and working out. And everything's kind of shifted from there. So I have roughly 14 years lifting experience, both civilian and in the military. I work out right now at a boutique bodybuilding gym. So I work out with a lot of IFBB pros. I've worked out with Mr. Olympia for bodybuilding or for men's physique, Jeremy Buendia.
So cool.
I worked out with him a few times. He's really knowledgeable in what he says. And so I've been able and fortunate enough to tap, shoulder tap and work out with people and just kind of pick their brains on everything. So hopefully I can help. Through the years, I've focused a lot on dieting and utilizing what you eat towards your body and your goals.
And I was going to say, I like what you said at the beginning. Let's get this straight. Nothing that I say here, I can guarantee because I get my information from other sources, just like you at home get your information, just like he's gotten his information. But the best thing about my show is that we have real people who have done and learned their information through trial and error and through actual experience.
Yeah, I got 14 years of trial and errors learning in the gym. Gone through enough injuries and rehab, and I know what works for me now, and I can speak to what's worked for me and what's worked for other people around me, because what works for me is going to be different than what works for you.
One of the hardest things for me is the consistency with the diet and being able to keep the diet on point to get the results I'm looking for. So with you being in the military and being deployed and having to change your resources on food, how do you stay consistent with your diet?
Home is a lot more convenient than being deployed. While we're gone overseas, a lot of our meals we can't control. And so it's just about knowing your intake versus your outtake, or calories in versus calories out. So if you're able to monitor that or have a rough idea, that's going to be the only way to focus on that. If you know that you're eating a lot of fatty food, a lot of oily food or greasy food, then you got to bump up your calories out to kind of balance it out. Home life, man, it's easy. I've been doing it for so long. Like we had talked about before, I have go-to meals. Like if I open up my fridge right now, I just had ground turkey and rice for dinner. We have chicken and spinach and sweet potatoes on deck for my next meal after this.
Oh yeah.
But I'm very simple. I know my weights, I know my measures, and I'll just wash, rinse, repeat day in and day out. And I'll keep the base the same on a lot of my meals, but I'll just season them differently. And that's the easiest way for me to stay consistent is I will cook a large batch of ground turkey on Monday and a large batch of chicken and rice. And then I'll just spread them out and I'll meal prep throughout the week. And I allow myself one cheat day because if I go too strict, I will definitely break. So usually on the weekends or when my wife has a day off, that'll be like our one cheat day. But our cheat days are like a poke bowl or sushi. So we still keep it clean when we have our cheat meals.
They're not like The Rock's cheat meals. You seen that guy's cheat meals?
Yo, I wish I can have a cheat meal like that, but I will be feeling it the next day.
Bro, he's got that tray of sushi that's got like
it the next day.
100 rolls on it.
You know what? It was funny when me and my wife first met. So down in San Diego, where I was living for a long time, every sushi place is all you can eat. And so I got real used to just housing sushi. And so one of the first times we went out, I took her in my sushi spot and I housed like 9 or 10 rolls of sushi. And she was like, I've never seen anyone eat as much as that.
I can't. I mean, I'm not a big sushi person, don't get me wrong. But the rolls that I do like, I can probably burn through 2 rolls, and that's my sushi fix for 2-3 months. I'm good and I'm full and I'm fine. Like I don't need to have it anytime soon.
Oh, dude, we do either sushi or poke probably once a week. What's today? Thursday? I had sushi yesterday.
How does eating sushi like that?
Does that have any effect? The day before.
Does eating sushi like that have any effect on your diet?
Yes and no. So high sodium will cause you to retain water, but with my current workout regimen, where I'm working out 3 times a day for 6 hours a day, I flush my sodium content with how much water I'm drinking. I'm putting down about at least 2 gallons of water a day right now, and so I can intake that much sodium because it's going to get flushed.
Okay, so with the water intake, one of the things that I educated myself on was the process of putting, like you said, intake versus outtake. Like if you're doing certain types of physical activity, if you're indoors, outdoors, if you're eating foods that are higher in sodium, the things that you're doing physically and the things that you're putting in your body are also affecting the amount of water you should be putting back in. So all the research that people are doing is that, oh, well, if you weigh this much, you should drink this much. Like, no, you need to take in the factors of your lifestyle and your diet as well.
Fully. And that's, like you said, it's all about how much you're pushing out and how much you're intaking. Normally, what I say is someone that's just getting into working out or has been working out for a year or 2, I would recommend at least 1 gallon a day. And that's always the basis for any trainer that's going to tell you is like, hey, your water needs to be at least 1 gallon a day. You're going to start exerting yourself. You should be trying to hydrate as much as you're going to be sweating, as much as you're going to be outputting.
Right.
And one thing, like we've all played sports and we know how it goes. When you're trying to make weight, one of the best things to do is to flood your body with water because your body is always going to try and be in stasis. It's always going to try and keep itself balanced. So if you're not intaking enough water, your body is actually going to start retaining that little water that you do drink. And one of the first things I always tell people is like, when they're like, man, I want to lose, 5 pounds. I want to lose 6 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. I was like, if you drink a gallon of water or more every day, and within 5 days, you'll be 10 pounds lighter. And I mean, unless you played sports when you were younger, like wrestling, like wrestlers got to cut weight. And that's one of the things is just, you have to, if your body's in a surplus, it will start to diminish what it's stored. So if it's in a surplus of water, it'll actually start to decrease the water storage. And the same can be said with like fat. When a lot of people want to start losing weight, they think, man, I got to eat less. I should only be having a small meal here and there. And it's actually the opposite. And for most people, it works out. If you consume frequently throughout the day, within every 2 hours, have a small meal, your body will try and keep the stasis, and it will realize that it's having more food coming in than it can put out, and it will start dumping its fat storage. And so any IFBB pro that you see, any pro athlete, you're going to see them constantly eating. And the reason they do that is because their body will drop fat when it's constantly consuming food. Now, it's not saying to like go and house a McDonald's cheeseburger every 2 hours. Like it's definitely, there's a difference between good calories and bad calories, bro.
Right. And another thing we were talking about earlier was the calorie, right? Balancing the calories you're bringing in versus going out. With me, I'm naturally a smaller guy. So the times that I've gotten into weightlifting, I've always felt like I needed to bulk, right? And that takes a lot of calories. So when you're taking in that many calories, you're also taking in other things that may or may not be good for you. So what do you think are some of the healthiest foods as far as packing on calories that you can have those elevated levels, but still decrease, like you said, the unhealthy fats?
Well, I mean, I can go back to one of the things that we talked about where a lot of people look for a quick fix. They're like, man, I want to put on size. I want to put on muscle and all this. And they'll go to their local supplement store. They'll go to their vitamin shops and they'll see those mass gainers, those weight gainers, and they'll think that's the key. Yeah. And one of the things that they do to actually bump up the calories is they use a dairy additive. Muscle Milk actually had a couple lawsuits, and everyone sees muscle milk everywhere. And muscle milk is like a large portion of just dairy creamer.
That was on everybody's fucking shelf when I was in high school.
Yeah, bro. In high school, everyone had muscle milk, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. When I was in college, I was like, man, this is the only thing I could afford.
Hey.
But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of those weight gainers and mass gainers. The way they get those surplus calories is by adding in dairy and fat. What we had talked about, and what a lot of people that I do, and what or a lot of people that I know do, and what I do, I just had one this morning, is we'll add quick oats into our protein shakes. And that is, I'll backtrack it and I'll start talking about healthy food, but like carb sources, your quick oats is going to be one of the healthiest forms of just quick, clean carbs that you can put into your body.
And it's cheap.
And so, yeah, you can go, like, if you have a Winco near you, you can go to the bulk food section and buy those quick oats. Yeah, man. Yeah, you can just fill up those bags and do it. If not, like Costco has a Quaker quick oat. I live and die by those. I eat that probably more than I do rice.
And this morning, like you had told me about the oats, I have the little NutriBullet. So I put like 5 or 6 strawberries in there. I put my protein powder in there. I put the 1/3 cup of oats, and I just put 8 ounces of water. And I blended it up, and it was super smooth. The oats didn't affect the taste in a bad way whatsoever. And like I felt better after consuming it than I would if I was just going with that straight other protein, that mass gainer that I was on.
Yeah. And I mean, I had the same thing when I was trying to put on size. When I first got into the military back in 2010, I was 21 and I was 150 pounds. And all we were doing is running. And I was dropping weight fast. So I was taking gainer shakes 2 times, 3 times a day, trying to just keep my weight.
Trying to keep up.
And dude, you would chug that and you just feel like you want to throw it up. You feel sick. You
it's
feel
so
like
heavy.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I like about oats is I don't even blend them up. I just scoop a third into my protein shake, and then I just chug that. And I mean, it's not difficult at all. One of my go-tos actually is I'll take vanilla protein and throw that with my oats, and I throw in cinnamon, and it tastes like an horchata.
You have to have the variety like that too. So I put a little cinnamon in this morning because I remember you telling me about that. And I was like, I want to see. So I put a little in, and I mean, it was delicious. I'm not
So I mean, if you look at a lot of those like wellness shots, a lot of them are either going to have cinnamon in them because it increases blood flow, O2 content. Same with like cayenne pepper, and stuff like that. So I mean, cinnamon, as far as like seasonings go, it's one of the best you can add for cleanness too. Like it's not like adding sugar to something or salt.
My buddy got me switched over to the monk fruit for my coffee.
The monk fruit? Okay, I haven't heard of that.
It's a sweetener, so it's keto friendly. It's non-GMO. It supposedly doesn't absorb anything into your body. It's sweet to the taste on your tongue, and after it dissolves, it's supposed to have zero effect on your health. So it's kind of like a placebo for sugar. It's a little more pricey. I personally don't really tell the difference, and it's a lot healthier than if I'm putting in the regular stuff.
I was about to say, see, you're better than me because I'll just grab like a chocolate protein, and throw it in my coffee.
Yeah.
That's how I
can't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never really tried.
It definitely keeps you regular, pimp.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If you're ever struggling in that department, go ahead, throw some protein in your coffee.
Oh, and when I was first dieting real hard, a huge change in your body. So your body is its own living organism, and it's going to do whatever it can to keep it at that stasis level. And so when you start fluctuating your diet so much, it's going to struggle to try and keep up with that change. And so when a lot of people start cutting out a food that they're normally eating, that your body's used to getting its fiber from, it'll start freaking out. You'll start getting irregular. And I actually hit up Steven. I was like, bro, like I'm having issues. He's like, add flaxseed. He's like, you need to start adding more fiber in.
Yep.
And that's like one of the big issues too, is when people count their macros, they look at calorie, protein, fat. And that's why when we were talking about them, like calorie, protein, fat, fiber, because you have to try and get all of them. Even though it's not one of the big three in your macros, it's definitely important in keeping your body stasis.
Yeah. So let's talk about macros, because I know we touched on it the other day. Just to let you guys know, this man's been helping me out with my diet. He's been helping me out get backtrack in the gym and how to do things correctly. And I have to say, I've seen the results of myself. So, but one of the biggest things is he talked to me about macros.
Any professional bodybuilder, powerlifter, strongman, CrossFit athlete, and most sports athletes will track their macros. Macros is a simplistic way to break down what type of calories you're putting in your body. It's broken down into 3 categories. It's going to be carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and some of the ones that I prefer to use also break in or add in fiber, because once people start going real hard on the dieting, they'll start slacking in other areas. And I've had this happen firsthand. When I started dieting real hard, if you don't keep track of your fiber, your body's going to get all out of whack.
You get what people call the protein shits.
Actually, bro, you get the complete opposite. You can't even shit.
Oh, you get backed up.
Yeah, if you don't have enough fiber, bro, so your body will always try and retain that stasis level. And if it's not getting all the nutrients, it'll try and hold on to it.
Does the hydration go hand in hand with the fiber too, as far as when you get backed up? I know a lot of times with the protein, like when you don't have enough hydration with all the stuff that's in your protein powder, it can do the reverse of the protein shits. It can actually back you up.
Yeah, if you're on like a real heavy, so what a lot of people do is when they start working out, they'll think protein. All right, more protein equals bigger muscles. Right. And that is false. Your body can only utilize so much of the protein that you intake at first. So if you take, general rule of thumb is like 30 grams of protein per serving is how much your body can actually utilize. And one scoop of protein, like gold standard, is going to be close to that 30 grams of protein max. So when you see people start scooping 2 and 3, their body is only going to utilize that first scoop and it's going to shit out the rest. And so if you start doing that on a regular basis, it's going to fuck up your whole bowel tract.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start including like other food that's not healthy, or like really carb heavy foods. It can sit in there for a while. And yeah, when you start getting like issues like that, the first thing I'll start recommending is to up your water intake.
Mm-hmm. So another part of counting the macros is obviously the calories. And I know when I was on my bulking diets, I put on 25 pounds, bro, in like, I don't know, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But I was consuming, 3,200 calories a day, over 350 grams of protein and 350 carbs. And it worked, but I don't want to necessarily say that it was the right thing for my body, because at the same time, like, I got the size and I got the strength, but I didn't feel as good as I do now, being more plant-based and paying attention to the levels that I'm getting of everything else.
There is a rule of thumb when you start intaking surplus calories. Like, not all calories are the same.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat 6 ounces of chicken breast and a half a cup of white rice, it's not going to be the same as going to McDonald's eating 2 Big Macs. Now, it is possible to lose weight while eating really unhealthy fast food, because it's all about calories in versus calories out.
Right.
But utilizing your macros is a way to efficiently track all the nutrients that are going in your body in a way that you can tweak them to achieve whatever goal you want, whether that's to shred, to lose body fat, to bulk up and try and keep it clean bulk, or if you're trying to do the recomp, which I don't really believe in. I don't think it's as feasible or possible as a lot of people hype it up to be.
Really? And what is the recomp?
So a recomp is a body recomposition. So it's this new trend that's kind of been around for a little bit. So you'll have people that will want to drop body fat, and that same person will also want to add on muscle size. And so a body recomposition tries to combine the two of them, where you will lose body fat but gain muscle. And in my experience personally, and everyone that I've talked to, you can either add on size or you can drop body fat, but you can't do both at the same time, at least not naturally.
It's got to stress your body out.
Yeah, and so you'll see a lot of these like social media influencers, a lot of guys and women that are on social media, and they'll emphasize macro and recomp. And it's not feasible for the normal, like, day-to-day person. You can either shred and focus solely on losing weight, or you can focus on solely on adding size and trying to keep it a lean bulk as possible. But in my experience personally, I've never seen anyone or heard of anyone naturally doing a body recomp or a body recomposition where they are at the same time as building muscle, they are losing fat.
And have you seen the movie The Game Changer, or the documentary The Game Changer on Netflix?
I haven't, but I'm usually pretty up to speed on most of them. I watch a lot of them.
Okay, so that whole documentary is based upon the argument of why plant-based food is better for you overall, right?
I have seen that. Yes, I have. We talk about the Spartan diet, yeah.
Right. So one of the biggest things that I took from that and researched myself was when the scientist was talking about how your body gets more protein from a steak than it technically will from an avocado. But the amount of protein that's healthy that your body actually absorbs and uses is far greater than what you're going to absorb and use from that steak. So that's opened my eyes too, to like, you can go about these diets, right? You can load calories, but you don't have to do it with unhealthy food. Yeah.
So I'll hit you with another Netflix documentary. There is one with that Zac Efron where he's traveling the world. And on one of the recent episodes, they go into what's called blue zones. There's 6 blue zones across the whole globe. And what they are locations within the world where the average or median age is over 100 years old. So you have these pockets of cities where the populace is living to be over 100. The only one in the United States is in Irvine, California. They were in the initial blue zone, and that was in Italy. And what they found out is that our diets need to shift over time. So when you're younger, like late teens, early 20s, it needs to be a high protein, low carb based diet. And as they transition to older age, your proteins need to drop and your carbs need to actually go up. And so that was one of the things they recognized within these blue zones, especially within Italy, was that a lot of the people that were 80, 90, 100 plus were on a high carb, lower protein diet.
That's crazy. And is that just because carbs are easier on the body for processing, or is that just strictly for energy to keep them moving? Like, what do you think that's?
Personally, what do I think? I think we can travel back to when we were talking about how much protein your body can actually utilize. So if you say when you consume a surplus of 30 grams of protein, you will only use that initial 30. And I think over time, that number is going to decrease. So someone that's in their 50s, 60s, 70s, their body isn't going to utilize as much of that protein as they intake because they're not exerting themselves as much as a 18, 19, 20, maybe even a 30-year-old. And so if you keep your diet the same through all those years, you're still going to eat a 12-ounce New York steak when you're 70, if you can, as you would when you're 20. Well, now your body is only going to use X amount of that protein, maybe 10 grams, 15, 20 grams. So all that extra protein is just going right into your body. And if we talk about that one documentary that you were talking about, they talk about a lot of the toxins. Yeah, they talk a lot about the toxins within having too much protein and everything in your body. And so that's one feasible idea. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather burn out than fade away. So I don't want to live to be over 100, but
I don't want to be here that long, to be honest with you.
For real.
Like,
if
I'm not enjoying my day, man, like, just let me go.
Yo, they were like 112. And I was like, I don't want to look like how they look at 112.
I mean, but that's amazing, to be honest with you.
It is. But I mean, when you start looking at a lot of the commonalities between these blue zones, a lot of, like in China, it's high rice. In Italy, it was high noodles. A lot of pasta.
All carbs.
So you start looking at this, a lot of carb heavy. So it's something to think about because in our, like, we've been beaten over the head for so many years that carbs are bad, carbs are bad, carbs are bad. The Atkins diet in the late, like, 2000 or mid 2000s, everyone was, and then he died because he didn't eat enough carbs. And there's this thought process along a lot of people that if I eat a lot of carbs, I'm going to put on weight, I'm going to gain fat. And your body needs carbs. When we did your macros, your carb amount was higher than your protein amount.
It was. I have them right here, actually.
Yeah, because I even tweaked your protein because the general rule of thumb is 1.5 grams of protein.
I was going to say we did 1.5.
Yeah, and they recommend 0.9, I think, as the basis. But for most people that are bodybuilding and trying to put on lean muscle, we go by a rule of thumb of 1.5 grams per body pound.
And I know one of the big things that you're always preaching about is what works for your body. Like, we need to go back to just listening to our body. Be simple. Like, we've been taught that if you're living good, you're eating good, you go out, you buy the steak and the potatoes and all this. But how do you feel after you eat that meal? You feel sluggish,
I'll tell you right now,
feel heavy.
Dude, I will tell you right now, I am burning so many calories a day because I'm on train up for something that I'm working out. I mean, I'm off of work right now. I'm on leave, burning my leave after my deployment. So I have nothing but free time and I think I have like ADD, bro. I just can't sit around the house. I think I tried to Netflix for like 3 days one time when I first got on back home and that was it. But I work out 3 times a day for like anywhere from 5, 6, 7 hours a day of just exerting myself. So we'll go to our local pizza place, bro, and I'll house a whole pizza. And and I'll just have a beer with it too. And it's because I'm burning over 2,500 calories over my total daily expenditure. So I'm in a negative of almost 3,000 plus calories that I can eat it and I won't feel as shitty as if I was not burning those calories. If I'm sitting on the couch all day and I house a whole pizza, I will feel it the next day.
Because it's just sitting.
It is. And it really comes down to calories out versus calories in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I can drop weight if I wasn't taking so much calories. So I can go and eat a pizza or go and eat a hamburger from Five Guys. And because my calories that I'm burning is so high that it doesn't match that level. But for, most people that have a day-to-day job, 9-to-5 job, and they're working out after work, maybe they get a cardio session in before work. Like, you really have to scrutinize your calories in versus calories out and make those calories count. For me, like, I still have to make sure I get all my greens in. I got to make sure I get all my vitamins in. And even more so now because I'm exerting myself. Like, I have this like stupid green shake where it's like a lot of my natural vitamins because I just can't consume enough throughout my day.
I've been using every episode. I use this cup.
Coors Latte?
And look, I got a latte. There's latte in the glass. Hopefully they give me a sponsor one day. Hopefully I get to a point where somebody sees this and is like, put him on an ad. I'll take the endorsement. I'll take the sponsorship, all that.
Bro, I got a funny story. So me and my team, like we talked earlier, I've been deployed for the last like 10 months, just got back. Mm-hmm. And where we were at, we had grocery stores and everything available to us. And in those stores, they had PBR, they had Budweiser, they had Heinekens, they had Coronas, they had every fucking beer but Coors Light.
But what about the food? What kind of food do you get in those grocery stores?
I mean, it was actually really funny. So a couple of my really close friends, guys on my team, they like Hispanics, they're like, yo, we want Mexican food. And I was like, yo, say no more, fam. So we were actually like once a week, we'd actually have taco night and we'd make tacos in our rooms. Yeah. Just because it was very Americanized. So they had sushi, they had hamburgers, but it's weird what you crave when you're gone. Oh, and yeah. I mean, we were working out so much that we were just constantly eating, and we had a lot of our meals provided for us. So we're very cultured in what they would normally consume in their food and everything. And you start missing what we'd normally eat. Bro, one of the first things I ate when I got home was a freaking Cali burrito.
I was going to say, does it not drive you crazy? I mean, we talk about the major thoughts throughout the day, but you have those times where you just, you'll get hungry and you'll want one thing. And like, that's what you want. And when you're at home, you got it. It's in your fridge, it's in your cupboard. But what's it like having just those little moments of craving and knowing you can't get it?
Bro, it's so frustrating. And like, you will try and eat something else to like hit that satiation to give you that like, all right, at least it's, and so there'd be a lot of like random things and I would just be like, man, that's why you end up drinking a lot, bro. I'll be honest. Like, they're like, yo, you know what sounds good right now? Like an In-N-Out burger. And I was like, you know what you're not going to get? Nothing close to an American burger. So I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to drink this Johnny Walker and just freaking cry into my pillow tonight.
I'm going to drink myself to sleep. And in the morning, I'm not going to have an appetite because I drank myself to sleep. And we're going to go on about our day.
There was a couple times where I tried some of the burgers there and I regretted it instantly. And I'm just like, fuck.
Is it beef out there or is it other type of animal meat?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of beef. The country I was in, they consumed a lot of pork. But yeah, like I went and I got a Mexican style hamburger. Yeah, bro. It was like in my head, like I'm like, cool. That's gonna be guacamole. That's gonna be like salsa. That's gonna be jalapenos on it.
And just so everybody knows, he was nowhere near Mexico.
Bro, I was not even close to Mexico. I was like polar opposite globally.
So to be offered a Mexican style burger.
Yo, we actually, no lie, within country, we actually found someone that was from California and they were Hispanic and opened up a Mexican restaurant, but it was like 4 hours from us. Yeah. Dude, it was rough. I ended up getting it and it was like chopped up bell peppers with like romaine lettuce. And then they like put like a mayonnaise spread on it, but the country I was in doesn't do hot sauce. So nothing spicy. And they tried to do like a salsa, but it was more like a tomato paste. Yeah, bro, it was rough. We were so happy the day we
I
found
couldn't
tortilla
do
chips.
that. Man, I love Mexican food, like authentic Mexican food, and I just grew up loving Mexican food. So to be out there and have them, like, for me to ask for salsa or hot sauce, they give me some tomato paste type stuff.
Bro,
I would have been
one of the guys
down.
on my team grew up in Mexico.
Oh.
And so luckily, like, we found enough stuff to make some guac.
Mm-hmm.
And like we would like introduce it to like our local partners, and we'd be like, "Yo, try this." We're like, "What is this?" And we're like, "That's guacamole, homie. Your country's welcome." I was like, "If you ever come to California, bro, we put this shit on everything." We didn't have a lot of resources, but they were able to whip up some like authentic, like Mexican food. So we were able to scratch that itch every now and then. But yo, like now that I'm back, one of my go-to meal preps is ceviche.
I was gonna say, what did you do over there? What did you do over there that you brought home? Like, what is there things that you only did on deployment that stuck with you and now is like a part of your cuisine?
My whole workout style is completely different than before I deployed. I don't work out how I worked out before deployment.
But what about like was there anything food, like eating food
wise
on deployment is obviously different. So was there anything that you just fell in love with eating only on deployment that is something that you do now at home?
No, to be honest, like the food was like really unhealthy. They ate cheesecake for breakfast, bro.
Salted
and
pork.
Yeah, like pork patties. We actually taught them to make huevos rancheros for us. But like, yeah, a lot of the food that they just aren't actually accustomed to is not healthy or not gonna get us to what we needed throughout the day. Like we could eat it and be fine just because we're working out twice a day and running and all this other stuff. And so we weren't putting on any pounds, but dude, if you're just eat that on a sedentary life, you're gonna be packing on pounds. It was like everything was deep fried, everything was covered in oil.
I was gonna say, is that just part of their diet, you think, or is that just kind of like they're just going off of that's the resources they got, so this is what we got to eat?
But see, the thing is like, so that was just their culture. Their culture was like, yo, we need to have calories. So a lot of their food was just high calorie intake. But I will say the median like body fat was probably like low teens. Like
really?
everyone over there was just super, super like low body fat. And it's just because they were just more active in their day-to-day lives. You know, like if you wanted to go anywhere, you walked.
That's a big point. Like I get in arguments with people all the time about food and work ethic and just shit like that. But one of the things I bring up is people say like, man, you know, kids are getting unhealthy and obesity is this problem in America. It's like, no, because we've learned to eat fast food, which is shit. Okay. Most of our life, we've had video games. Kids sit in the house most of the day. Before video games, before cell phones, before technology, kids were outside. They were riding their bike. They were running. They were playing football in the streets. They were doing stuff outside and moving. For the most part, kids don't do that anymore. And it's the truth. Like parents don't want to admit it. They want to think that, you know, it's just that's the way the kids are. You know, there's things that you can do to prevent this from happening. And as an American culture, that's what we've adopted. Fast food and being less active.
Yeah, there's been a huge shift in American culture within the last like decade to 2 decades. And that's just, I mean, that's based off of, you know, the climate. And when we grew up, like I grew up, you're out until the street lights come on.
Yep.
You know, and that's like during summer, I was gone in the morning and come back when the street lights. But you won't have that now. And it's because with social media, with news, with current incidents within the past with like school shootings and everything, people are just more aware and more cognizant of potential threats. And so people are more restrictive on what their children do and don't do. And so instead of allowing their children to be more active outside, they are kind of restricting them to the home. And luckily, like around here or when I was in Colorado, you'll see a lot more families out and about active. Like here, like during my training, I run on this trail and I'll see families out bike riding all the time, but that's a select few. And most of the families nowadays, they don't have time, energy to really allot their children time to go outside and play and exert themselves like we did growing up. Like we could eat fast food, but it was because we were burning all of that. And now a lot more people are sedentary. We watch movies, we watch Netflix, play video games. We're inside, you know, where it's safer. And the repercussions is we're just kind of putting on the pounds.
It's because everything is comfort, man. You have a big flat screen TV. You can watch whatever you want. Somebody can bring you food, you know, bring your groceries to you. Like you said about the kids, a big thing is the kids are a reflection of their parents, right? So if the kids want to go outside and play, but the parents are too tired from work or they're too busy doing something to go out and do, you know, if you don't feel comfortable with your kids being outside, then you should at least make the time to keep your kids active. And
exactly,
I can speak from experience because even today, like I went out and I rode 8 miles today on my bike in the morning to start my day. And when my kids came home from daycare, my wife got home from work, hopped back on the bike, kids hopped on the bike, wife got on the rollerblades. We went to the park, kids played, and we came back. And I could have easily said, no, I'm tired. I went out and I rode already, you know, been working all day, all this stuff. No, my son wants to come home. He wants to go be active. So instead of putting him in front of the TV or a phone, we're going to go ride our bike. Let's talk about fat in the diet.
Yeah, so fat's one of the important. But there's good fats and there's bad fats, like polysaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, like complex and simple. All those stuff. And so with fats, you want to get them from good sources. That's going to be like your fish, your avocados. People are pretty savvy on where they get their healthy fats from. Like everyone knows avocados, bro.
Avocado, nuts too, right?
Yeah, so almonds,
healthy fats.
Yeah, almonds are one of the big ones. That's why you'll see a lot of like people on the fitness kick. They'll eat almond butter a lot. One thing that I like try and keep in mind is that carbs and fats go hand in hand. So if you have a high carb diet or higher carbs, your fats are going to be low. But some people respond differently to a low carb, high fat diet. Like my wife, for instance. Yeah. So you can bump one, but one has to drop. So a general standard is that they will go with a high carb, a high protein, and low fat, usually at like a 40-40-20 or something like that. Like that percentage, like 40% carbs, 40% protein, and 20% fats or lower. But you can switch your carbs to fat level. It's just a little more difficult, but it's the way your body breaks down your nutrients. So for some people, they can intake higher amounts of fat and their body will break it down and utilize it faster than it would with carbs. So with carbs, it's slow. It's a little bit longer of a process to break down those chains. And so your carbs will sit in your body longer than fat. And everyone's different, but it is something to keep in mind that if you prefer eating, especially vegans, a lot of people that are vegan will tend to be a higher fat because a lot of the food that they eat will be nuts, like almonds, and they'll eat a lot of avocados. So they'll have a higher fat content naturally in their diet. So they just need to tailor their carbs to balance that out.
So I know fat is used to fuel your body when your body doesn't have insulin, correct? And I know that with intermittent fasting, it kind of plays on that, right? So how do you adjust the intake of your fat to not be affected by fasting?
So for me, what it is it's not actually the fat, it's the glycogen, or am I saying that right? It's a glycogen within the food that spikes your insulin, which will give you insulin spikes. So I got a funny story. I did intermittent fasting for about 18 months, and I would have a 6-hour window between starting at like 12:30 and it would go to 6:30. So I was able to eat lunch at work. I'd get off of work by 3, hit the gym, and then I was able to have a meal all within my window, and I would consume all my daily caloric intake within that window. The problem is that after 6:30, I wouldn't eat. I would just have water. I would drink water, but I would do fasted cardio in the morning, for 30, 45 an hour. And then I would go to work. And then when I had my meal at 12:30, once I got probably about like 6 months in, I would start passing out at work. And that was because, like I would just, and it's weird. Like you don't even notice it. You're just like sitting there and then you're out and you wake up like when you fall asleep on the couch and you just kind of like jump awake.
Yeah.
And what it was is a sudden spike of insulin within your body, just like diabetics, and you're out. And so your levels get so depleted that when you first consume food, it'll give you an insulin spike because of the glycogen and you'll just pass out.
Right. And so when you're going through the fasting, right, you stop eating 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Like people don't realize that you get your insulin from eating. So when you don't eat for that long, I mean, you don't eat from 6:30, you fall asleep whenever, you're going, 12, 16 hours without putting anything in your body. So your body has gone from using up all the insulin to now eating on your fat to then all of a sudden you put all this insulin back in to your system.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it kind of shocks your system a little bit.
I had one of my really good friends though, and this goes back to everyone's different. Mm-hmm. My buddy, he was about 210 to like 215, just super lean. And what he would do is his window was 4 hours.
Jeez.
His window, it was from 4 to 8. His window wouldn't start, or he wouldn't consume his food until after his workout. And so
that's
usually
dangerous.
It's super dangerous. Like I was like, I don't know how you work out with no food. But then he would literally finish his workout. We'd go to Chipotle and he'd house 2 monster burritos, like 2 double wrapped, freaking extra rice, extra beans, double protein. And he would just house 2 of them. And I'm like, and he was fine. And I was like, bro, when I was intermittent fasting, I passed out on a bowl of Pokey.
Everybody's body's different, man.
Yeah, but I mean, for him, he was like, this is how I keep like low teens body fat percentage. And he's like, I can tailor it even more and get leaner. And it's just everybody responds differently. For me, intermittent fasting, like my insulin levels drop so much that when I first intake food, I'm out. And I was just like, this isn't fun. I'm like, I'm just falling asleep now.
No energy, just heavy.
Yeah. But the one takeaway that I learned from that is fasted cardio is one of the best forms for dropping fat that I can do. At least for me and for a lot of people that I know, waking up, right in the morning after you've been asleep for 8 hours, so you're probably fasted for at least 10 hours, which you start getting into that fasted window. Mm-hmm. And then you do a low impact or a slow cardio, like a Stairmaster for a prolonged period of time, like 30 to 40 minutes.
Right.
You don't have to be doing crazy. You don't need to be running sprints. You don't have to be, Lance Armstrong on a cycle.
Yeah.
You just have to get your heart rate up to like, you just got to get your heart rate to like 130, bro. 130 and hold it. And
I took 2 hills today, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna die. I was like, this was beyond what I'm ready for. But I mean, I did it. Don't get me wrong. But like you said, the fasted cardio. So I like to get my bike rides in the morning now. As soon as I wake up, get the kids ready, take the kids to daycare and school, and then I get on that bike before I eat anything because I go burn it out. I do 45 minutes to an hour. I try to get in anywhere from 7 to 10 miles, depending on which way I take. And then I start my day after that.
Well, right now I'm running. So I'll go and do like 45 minutes of sprints, or depending on what day of the week it is, I'll go and ruck in the morning. And that's been kind of a killer, but that's like a 2 to 3 hour adventure.
That shit's crazy. I saw this guy's some Marine on Instagram. He was going on a ruck, but he had his pack, and then he had the baby strapped onto the front. So he had the big old, the big old pack, and then he had the baby, and he was out there still. And that's another part of fitness I think people need to realize is like when you're young, your body responds a lot better to your lifestyle, to food. But when you get older, you have to take the time to take care of your body. Like if you want the muscles, if you want to have the cardio, if you want the stamina, the balance, whatever you want, like you have to work at it harder and harder as you get older.
Easily, bro. Now that I'm over 30, like I've had to completely overhaul my whole workout regimen. And I learned a lot by picking the brains of the guys on my team who are a little bit older, like 33 to 35. And they're like, yeah, you can't do your bro lifts like you did when you're 20. I was like, it's all about, I got X amount of steps left in my knees. Like, I can't just be out here running marathons or anything. Like, I got to make every step count, every amount of cardio for my goal. Every lift I need to make sure has a designated purpose. And so a lot of my workouts have transitioned from like those typical like bro lifts to more of a functional fitness. Like I do a lot of Metcon workouts or metabolic conditioning. I do Tabata workouts. I still do my bro lifts, but like I haven't back squatted in over a year since before I deployed. All I do is front squats now because.
And you can feel the difference in the front squat to the back squat. Like it's a game changer. It's a game changer. It really is.
My back squats, I was doing 500 for 3x3. Like that's what I got up to. So I was under 500 pounds for 3 reps. And with that, it's all mechanical. Like one wrong step and your knee's blown.
I was going to say that kind of weight would make my knee buckle so fast. Like it's almost embarrassing what I can do solo working out my right leg compared to what I can do with my left leg. And it's all because of the stability in my knee.
I actually learned a lot when me and my wife first started working out like 4 years ago. She played collegiate soccer, like D1, but she's had both knees replaced. She's had her femur broken. She's had both her, both her patellas have been replaced. Like her right leg is all bionic. All other people's like cartilage. And so like when I first met her, like she was in the gym, like trying to hit legs and squatting. But what we started focusing on was strengthening her knee and her supporting muscles around it, like her small muscles that help support that knee and stabilize it. And so now, bro, she had legs today. I think she back squatted like 265 for 3. And it's just a process of like rehabilitating your muscles and strengthening them. And for me, it's more of keeping myself in a position that I'm able to go to the gym. I'm not taxing my nervous system as much as I was when I was doing back squats. Like 500 pounds.
Pressure is in a different spot.
Yeah, and you're going to feel it. And now that I got my front squats down, like I don't go over 2 plates. When I was deployed, I was hitting 3-plate front squats. Now I do 2 plates. I'll stand on a plate to kind of activate my quads more. I hit legs now every day because I do a push-pull split. So it's quads and then hamstrings and then quads, hamstring, quads, hamstring. But I'm not overtaxing them every time I do it. It's just the volume and the amount that I'm hitting them. Yeah, it's just for me and for my age, like that works for me. Once you start reaching certain ages, like you got to tailor your workout. You can't be doing those like 18, 19-year-olds trying to hit those 1 rep max. And it's just about making every rep, every step count.
For sure. No, I agree 100%. I had to stop. I used to play basketball a lot when I was in my, early mid-20s, and my cousin used to make fun of me because he's 2 years younger than me. Not,
Right, bro, my cousin makes fun of me too. Shout out to Steven who will probably watch this.
Yeah, but I told him, I turned 26, 27, and my joints just weren't responding the same. Like it was just taking longer for them to heal. The wear and tear was just progressing more than it did when I was younger. Is all it was. My body was getting older, and that high impact stuff was just affecting it in a different way. So I think a big thing that's been helping me at 33 is doing a lot of agility work. So I do a lot of resistant bands around, my legs, and I got an agility ladder, and I do a lot of drills like that.
The Jacobs ladder?
And a lot of, like we talked about earlier, the TRX, a lot of stuff there's no weight, but it's a lot of movement and it's a lot of stability strength. So once I saw the results from that, I was able to add more weight to my squatting and to the leg lunges and stuff like that. So I think you're 100% correct in building around the joint before you start putting the pressure on it.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of people think, all right, I get platform shoes, like lifting shoes. I get knee sleeves. I grab a belt. Like that's all I need. And I'm like, you got to look at your muscle as a complete system. Like there's going to be supporting joint or supporting ligaments. There's going to be small muscles that help stabilize. And I was like, you can't just stack on plates and expect your large muscle groups to take all that. Like one of the funniest things is, bro, when I first started hitting like 5 plates, like 500 pounds, one of the first things my cousin commented was like, your back's too weak for that weight. And it's something that never occurred to me because I'm doing squats. I'm like, that's that's my legs, you know?
Yeah, but
he goes,
pressure.
But it was true. My lats weren't strong enough to support that weight. And so what's happening is as I was squatting down, instead of keeping like a somewhat straight back, my back was actually arching down. Moral of the story, Metcon, metabolic conditioning, and Tabata workouts. Bro, that's my go-to right now. That's like metabolic conditioning is like HIIT workouts where you're not doing it for time. You're just doing it for count. So like I would do kettlebell swings, pull-ups, burpees, and then like toe-to bars. And that would be my circuit. And I would just do like 15, 15, 15. And I would do like 5 rounds of that. And then Tabata workouts are timed. So it teaches your body to recover while you're still working out. So like I'll jump on an assault bike and I'll do 40 seconds of just straight all out, go, and then 20 seconds to rest. And that's 1 round. And I'll try and do like 16 rounds of that. And what that does is it just teaches your body to recover while it's still exerting itself. We didn't even get into like workouts or anything either.
I know, but I can have you back and we can go over that. We can, you know what I mean? But so what's the plan? Where are they sending you next? When are you going back to work?
I go back to the task force. I got like 6 days of leave left, and then back on active duty status, regular grind. We work on a 2-1 dwell time, so I shouldn't have to do anything for the next 3 years. But they already hit me up trying to deploy me to 2 more locations, and yeah, there's definitely a balancing act you got to do between doing all the fun stuff and then keeping a good home life.
Oh yeah.
Like there's one of my boys taught me there's a threat of violence like scale, and you can kind of tell like when violence is about to occur. And so we call it the threat of divorce scale. And you can only do like so much training before you got to start like tapering it off. And so yeah, I don't think I'll do anything for the next year at least.
If you're married and you are aware,
Mrs. Happy.
If you are aware in any way possible, you understand what that man is talking about. There's only so far you can take it before wifey says, nope, you're in the doghouse. Well, that's good. Well, man, I'm glad you took the time to come talk to me. You provided us a lot of great information today, so I'm very grateful for that. And I hope everything works out with you at work, and I hope we get to hang out soon, man. It's been a while.
Dude, definitely. Well, I'm going to finish this, so I'm going to cheers you. I'm going to kill this glass of bourbon unless you're empty.
Coors Light.
There it is, Pimp. Hit the plug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah. All right, Pimp.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Let's eat.